sometimes aren't we referred to as like marriage or work spouses?
And other times we're referred to as marriage counselors.
Yeah, both of those. Hi there, Jesse Moore, Pickett Street Properties.
Dennis Pierce, Pickett Street Properties.
We want to talk today about the short sale process, and specifically, there's a lot of hardships that kind of stimulate the short sale process, and one of those is a status change, a domestic change, otherwise known as divorce.
Yeah, so divorce is the topic for today, and I guess one of the things, Jesse, tell us, what exactly do we need in order to successfully complete a short sale with a divorce?
The hardest part about doing a divorce short sale is getting the cooperation of both parties. And
why would that be?
Because most of them are not amicable. The reality is that we need cooperation from both parties to be able to do a successful short sale. Unless it's a highly unusual short divorce, and meaning that if this property was purchased by only one party and it was never, the mortgage is only one party's name, and
there are even caveats to that. Washington being a community property state.
Yeah, Washington's community property state, which complicates real estate transactions in the sense that even if a person was never obligated to a piece of property, if they had a marital relationship, that can tie them to the property regardless. And so, if you're considering doing a short sale and you're in an active divorce proceedings, or you've recently gone through divorce proceedings, there are a few things that you need to know. And one of those things that you need to know is that you may have to talk to your ex.
Or at least have the ability to communicate with him effectively so we can get paperwork exchanged and get signatures, etc.
And we've done a number of these successfully in the last year. I can think of two off the top of my head that we've done in the last few months. And we did a consultation with someone today who's going through an active divorce. And really that is the wild card. I have had a property foreclose, and we never listed it because we could not get the willful participation of one of the members. And so the biggest thing that we need is cooperation from both parties. We'll also need a copy of the divorce decree. The bank's going to require that to some degree. And what that's important to talk about is that in the divorce decree, it may say that the so-and-so property goes to her,
right,
or so-and-so property goes with him. And people seem to think that gives them a pass in participating.
Right, and that's not the case. You've got to, again, going back to the beginning here, both parties have to participate, and they have to participate in a timely fashion in order to make this work. I think that's kind of maybe the other thing that needs to be thrown in there. Because we're communicating with the bank, we are negotiating on your behalf for the bank, so it's essential that we have timely communication, so we've got to have that cooperation from both parties.
Yeah. And there is a chance that, depending on how your divorce happened and depending on how that home was purchased, there is a chance you can do this without the participation, how should I say this, without the ongoing participation of one party, but at some point, that party's influence is going to matter. And what I mean by that is generally at closing, they will have to sign paperwork. If that party files bankruptcy, it could screw up your short sale.
That could put things, if it doesn't put the complete kibosh on the whole thing, it will at the very least delay things a minimum of 90 days.
And so really, we need to be able to communicate with both parties so that we can explain what's going to be necessary to make this work from the beginning. And so I would say those are the big things. Is we're going to need communication and cooperation from both parties. We're going to need a copy of the divorce decree at some point. And then, again, not to stress this hard enough, but we're going to need ongoing communication and participation from both parties, even throughout this entire process.
So you don't have to get along with each other, but you do have to get along with us.
And it's to the benefit of both parties, quite honestly. Short sales are still better than foreclosure. And if one of the parties decides not to cooperate, then it will eventually end up in a foreclosure situation.
Right.
Which, it's an ugly situation as it is. We're just trying to make it a little less ugly.
No need to compound it.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's something to keep in mind. And one other thing, just because this did come up recently, The banks also do require what's an arm's length affidavit to be signed, and that basically says that the buyer and the seller are not related. So in the case where you're doing a divorce and maybe the ex wants to buy it from the other ex,
Not gonna
that's
work.
not going to happen. That's not
Yeah.
going to.
Not in a short sale. You may be able to make that work with a traditional transaction if there's
Absolutely,
equity,
yeah.
but that's a completely different scenario.
Right. If one of you thinks that you're going to get a good deal and buy your ex out of a distressed property,
Yeah.
the bank's
The bank
not going
says
to allow
no.
that. Even if you are divorced and in the eyes of the law you are no longer related, I have seen cases where the bank still considers that to be
That's
not to
an
be an
arm's
arm's
length
length
yeah.
transaction.
Yeah.
So for that reason, just FYI, it's not a good idea. So there you go. Short sales and divorce in Washington State. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.